Hey everybody, I'm back again. I got a box from Athearn today and it had a couple things in it. This is something I'm pretty excited about. Let's go to the workbench and find out why. We have two Geep9s and these are really cool because they come with sound, and before we're done with this product spotlight, you're going to get to hear what they sound like and see them running here on my workbench. So let's get in here. And by the way, it's also a little bit timely because this one on the bottom here, they're calling the Halloween unit, right? Number 5665. That's the one that had the orange ends. So let's take a look at these things close up and see what we're dealing with. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about what I've learned about these Geeps by doing some research. They were delivered to SP sometime in the mid 1950s, and the one in the back there, the 5665, is a legitimate paint scheme. Apparently Southern Pacific was trying to cut costs at some point, and they tried this, what's now referred to as the Halloween scheme. Happy Halloween, by the way. These are Athearn Genesis models, and as such, you have to be really careful pulling them out of the boxes because there are a lot of very fine detail parts on these. We're going to take a closer look at these things, but just know that when you take them out of their cases, to be extremely careful because you will lose parts and stuff will come off, and just be careful. If you're not careful, you're going to be sorry. I'll leave it at that. So let me put one of these in focus here and we'll take a look at some of the fine details. All right, I made an executive decision. Since Halloween is right around the corner, we're going to look at the Halloween paint scheme Jeep here. And really, I mentioned about a lot of fine details. I'm going to show you some of that stuff right now. There's a speed recorder down here on the truck. The trucks have a lot of very good detail. And by the way, these are Blomberg trucks. They're accurate for this particular run of GP9s. It has wind deflectors and a sunshade up here. This is something I don't think I've seen before. There's an armrest. And if you look in there, you can't see from this angle, but if you look in there, there's a full cab interior. There's no figures in it, but the cab interior is in there, and it looks pretty good. Quick note about the paint. The paint's very good. The separation lines between the orange and black are excellent, and the printing on the side of the locomotive also is really good. So looking down here, you can see some detail around the fuel tank, little highlights and stuff. There's a lot of side view detail. More of it's on the fireman side, which I'll show you in a minute, but also would mention that the handrails are very fine and delicate, very to scale, right? These are thin handrails and they look really good. While I'm talking about handrails, I want to mention the grab irons. If you look over here, sort of, these grab irons are separately applied wire grabs, okay? So this is not some molded thing, and it's not thick. These are also very much to scale. This detail is really good. I mean, this is kind of a new era for models, for ready-to-run models like this. They're coming with such detail that straight out of the box, there's very little that you'd have to do to them to make them look good, because they come out of the box looking really good like this. It's pretty cool to see. I mean, this looks like something you would do to a model after you got it home and you wanted to make it look better. That's the kind of detail we're talking about here. And something else that I find particularly interesting is the full SP light package, right? And we are going to take a look at the lights here before we're done. So while we're here, I also would like to point out there are lift rings, separately applied, very fine lift rings, and they're all around the top of the locomotive where you would expect lift rings to be. They look really good. Also, while we're in front, want to check out the level of detail on and around the pilot there, including a very thinly rendered chain. This is plastic, but it looks like real chain. The drop step, it comes with the drop step in the upright position, but there are additional parts in the box. And it looks like they're so that you can model the drop step lowered. And then, of course, you have all your hoses there. And this is a McHenry coupler. Working our way around the locomotive, you can see the back has similar detail to the front. Again, very thin, finely rendered grabs and full light package. Same kind of details in the pilot. And since this locomotive's from the 50s, it also has footboards. There's some brake ratchet detail there. Very cool. And yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. There's so much detail in this. What would you do to it? I mean, you could weather it, I guess. All right, so that's our look at the Halloween one. Let's take a look at the Black Widow now. Hey, like magic, there it is. Anyway, I want to point out, same thing, brake ratchet detail, super fine handrails. The paint on this one is also really excellent. Speed recorder down here. You got everything here that's on the other one, but I'm going to show you the stuff that I didn't show you on the other one on this one. That way you have a chance to see both of them. So something I will point out just while we're here is you have the air tanks down here. There's lots of detail. You have sanding lines as well in the trucks. I mentioned the speed recorder a second ago. So it's really cool. Let's take a look at the top. I've seen people replace fans like this before in favor of some aftermarket parts, but I don't see any reason why you would need to with this. It looks really good straight out of the box. I also mentioned the lift rings while we were looking at the other one. They're all in the top here, okay? And again, this is something that's usually just a molded thing on there, like a little blob of plastic. These look like they're wire pieces put in there, like real lift rings. Very nice. Take a quick look at this truck detail. You'll understand why I'm so impressed with it. Got a lot of brake line and everything else that you would normally have to add to a model like this, but there it is. Same thing on the fireman side here. And here's another really cool thing. Look at the air reservoirs here. Look at that extra stuff on there, that extra piping. That's something you would normally have to add to a model like this, and it comes with it. Now, you also have to be careful because that's also something that might fall off. So there are pros and cons to having a model this detailed out of the box, but I will say that the pros of not having to do that yourself may outweigh the cons. I guess it depends what your goal is in modeling. If you like to just run stuff, well, then this might be a good way to go. If you like to work on stuff, then you might want something less detailed than this. All I can say is that I can't wait to run these things at the layout, at the SBHRS, because they're going to look good together. Now, something I want to mention, and I think you can see this, is while the Halloween unit 5665 has the full Southern Pacific light package, you can see that 436 doesn't have it. Now, this is where I want to ask you a question, because I don't think I know the answer to this question. Now, I can guess the answer. I want to know why the 436 doesn't have the SP light package. Now, here's what I think, and you can put a comment below if I'm wrong, or if I'm right. Let me know if I'm right. I think because the 436 was ordered as a Texas and New Orleans locomotive, it didn't get delivered with the SP light package. So, anyway, is that correct? I don't know, and I didn't bother to look it up. So, if you know the answer to that question, put it in the comments. I'd be interested to hear the answer. Alright, so I got the locomotive ready. I got my JMRI set up with my Mac on the desktop here, and Y throttle is running. So let's take a look at what's going on here. This has a Tsunami 2 from Soundtraxx, a decoder in it. So let's just hear what it sounds like first. Looks like I'm going to have to add some momentum into it. So there's really none. Okay, I've switched to the Halloween one. And I'm just going to back it up to an area where you'll be able to see this. There's your headlight. There's the driver light. So as you can see, it does have the working package here. So something else that's kind of curious to me is it says that it works on DC in the manual. So I've connected my DC power supply, and oh, there it is. I'm trying to move it. Oh, my. Well, that's interesting. I've never really tried this with a DCC equipped locomotive before, but this is running in DC. It gives you the sound, and I see the lights are going. Pretty cool. One thing that is mentioned in the documentation is that your minimum radius for these would be 18 inches. These are models that you really don't have to do anything to. They come out of the package very detailed, with sound installed, lights, everything works. I mean, it's really nice. So that's it for this one, and I'll catch you next time.